Inescapably.
Escapably foreign. We were talking about the safety nets as well, right? And you were saying that in America, you don't have as much of a safety net, so that kind of pushes you to keep going. And in New Zealand, you have the safety net, and you're able to relax if something goes wrong. But on the flip side, I think these safety nets could allow you to pursue some of your entrepreneurial goals or some of your creative goals. Do you think that's true at all, or do you think these safety nets just don't do that? These safety nets just make you more complacent?
Oh man, that's a fantastic question. I think that from my experience, it comes down to the person a lot. Like you're 100% right. Like it's having a safety net can be it gives you some like a, a bit more of an ability to take more risks and fail a little bit more and not have to worry as much about it. But at the same time, like if someone's not because people usually tend to be motivated by either purpose or pain. Um, I know that for me, like I'm strongly motivated by pain. Like if I'm in a position that I do not want to be in, or I'm doing something I hate, then I will work my ass off to get away from it. Um, Getting the job on the cruise ship was a perfect example for that because like I tried for like probably 5 months before I even got a bit of interest back from any of those to make that happen. But I was in so much pain in New York that I was just like, I've got to change something. I've got to travel. I'm not traveling. That's what I wanted to do in my 20s, right? Um, so it's like I think I can definitely go either way. I think like having it here like it is fantastic because it is like I'm still like me and my partner are quite naturally ambitious, so it's like having kind of the safety nets in place and the more flexible like work culture and stuff has been really helpful for us to kind of pursue other projects and stuff outside of that. Gave us the ability to for her to actually quit her job in 2020 and step into self-employment. Um, so she's been able to do that and have a lot more freedom and control of her time, which she's absolutely loved. Um, but but yeah, it can really go either way. It depends on the person. It's whatever you're going to make of it. Like we have a fantastic opportunity here to achieve more. Like if we really want to, um, it is just a matter of like is someone like do they have the internal drive, I guess, to kind of chase it. And
Yeah.
something actually I wanted to touch on that you said earlier, where you talked about how like friends and stuff that like say they don't know what their passion is or stuff like that, or it's like I think a better question around finding passion is actually asking yourself not what lights me up, what gets me super excited, but asking like what am I willing to struggle for, because what you just touched on there with stuff like like trying to get these projects started up and all these creative things that you're trying to do, and like not spending way more money than you're making on it and stuff, and having to figure out all this other stuff when you could be spending that time for anything else. It's like going through a bit of a grind and a struggle, but I think it's when you find something that you are passionate enough about that you're just like, okay, I'm willing to struggle for this and I don't care. Like I have a friend back in Wellington who's kind of a bit of a serial entrepreneur, but really, really awesome, fantastic, creative dude. But I remember like looking at him one day, we were working out of the same office space, and I was just like, man, you really hate like 90% of the shit that you do, don't you? Like I'm sitting here watching him and he's just like having to make sales calls, do like accounting, reporting, budget forecasting, apply for like grants and stuff, and he doesn't enjoy any of it. But he's so passionate about being an entrepreneur and creating these things and these businesses that like he doesn't care, he's willing to go through all that. So I think that
Yeah,
that's a really good question for people to ask themselves, is like, what am I willing to struggle for?
definitely. Kind of puts it in a little bit of perspective for me. Sometimes I just feel like a little whiny bitch.
Man, yeah, but I mean, like, dude, you found something that you're passionate about and that you're putting in the work for. It's like, man, it's okay to struggle. Like, it's just part of it, right? But
Yeah,
like, the fact that you're willing to do it anyways is what's so cool.
yeah, yeah. Well, one thing I recently discovered too is sometimes when you're going through those dips and the biggest struggles, it's nice to have family to fall back on, right? And you have your partner, I have my partner, right? So we do have family, but we're both in that same situation where we are far away from our blood relatives, right? Um, Is that being hard for you?
Um, well, I'll get a bit personal with this one, if that's all right. So, like, I mean, I've never been like a huge like family person. Like in all honesty, like I mean, I love my family; they're great, but like we're just very different in the way that we view the world. Like when I made that decision to like move to New York, when I made the decision to drop out of college after 2 years, like everyone thought that I was completely ruining my life. And we had um, lot of confrontation around that, a lot of just tension, and it's something that I think that like we've resolved now. It's like obviously like I'm alive, like I made it work. I didn't end up dead in a sidewalk in New York or anything like that. So um, I think we have that understanding now. But like we are still like quite different. So it's like as far as like spending a lot more time and stuff with family, that's never been like something that like I've tried to do like a lot of. I think that the older I get, the more I do appreciate it though, and the more that I do want to like have more of that time. But the thing that really, I guess, put things into perspective for me was, and last year I lost quite a lot of people back home. My grandma passed away. Let me see, my one of my aunts passed away. Multiple friends passed away, and the roughest one was my mom actually passed away last year, and that
Walden, I'm
was
sorry to hear that,
due
man.
to an that was thank you for that, man. But that was it was an accident. It was something that came completely out of nowhere. But it also happened right before New Zealand went into its second lockdown when the Delta variant was starting to spread here. So I was put in a situation where I basically couldn't get home, or if I did, then I wouldn't be able to get back into the country for God knows how long. It could have potentially been like I wouldn't have been able to get back in 2021 if I'd left, which that would have basically cost me my job. That would have basically jeopardized like our living situation, like everything. So I had to make the decision to ride it out, and that was the hardest fucking decision I've ever had to make. And I'm still not even sure if it was the right one or not, to be honest with you. But that was the one where I was just like, shit, like this is not okay. Like being in a position where
Yeah.
like I don't have like the ability to you know move when I want to move. Yeah, that was the one that really put it into perspective for me. But I mean, like anything though in life, it's like you just have to kind of figure it out. It doesn't make it any easier. But and I actually still haven't been able to go back since that happened. December, we're headed back, and that's going to be my first time back since then to like settle, all the affairs and everything with that. Um, but it's something I guess I encourage people to think about, like especially when you got people you love, like try to design a lifestyle where you can have access to them, when it really matters. That's just I guess what I would kind of say with that.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. But you seem to be taking it the best you can. I mean, as you said, you don't know if you made the right decision, but I think with something like this, it's just a decision, right? You don't there are pros and cons, and I don't think there is a right or wrong with this. Um, oh man, that's heavy. And
Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to take us there. But
no, no, dude, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. And is your partner coming back with you to America?
she is, yes, yeah. So she actually went back. This might actually be entertaining for you. Good change of pace too. She went back with me in 2018. Um, at the time I was like, all right, well, I just moved to the other side of the world to date this girl. I should probably take her home to meet my parents and stuff. And so she came back with me in 2018. We spent like 3 days in New York, I think, and then a couple weeks in Georgia, and then like 5 days in LA or something like that. And she had the time of her life. Like she absolutely loved it. She wasn't a big fan of LA. Just
Why is that?
yeah, man, she just didn't feel safe there. She just felt like it was just really dirty and like she like I don't know. She just said the people there were really stuck up. Like it's. it was also weird because she was talking about like it's just the wealth disparity is just so obvious in LA, where it's like you'll see like a like literally like say like a homeless person passed out next to a Bentley, and so she was just like it just didn't feel right. Like nothing about the whole place felt right. Where she loved New York City, like she had a fantastic time there, and part of the reason for that was she was like you could walk past like 6 billionaires and you wouldn't even know it. Um, those people just aren't as I guess flashy in New York versus LA, but she really enjoyed New York. She had a great time in Georgia. She wasn't happy with how much weight she put on because it was Thanksgiving, and yeah, she got to be
Oh,
introduced to a proper Southern Thanksgiving. So she
dude, that reminds me of when we first met 8 years ago in New York. You told me about some of the food. What was the gnarliest thing you guys deep fry again? There was something that you deep fried. I thought, what?
oh dude, which one, man? We've deep fried everything. I mean, what could it have been?
Or
Frog
what's
legs or was it
Oh,
frog
I don't
legs?
know. No, it was just like calorie wise. It was just the gnarliest, like deep fried butter sticks. I don't know. Is that
Oh
possible? Was
God,
it that?
yeah, I think that might be it. Yeah, that sounds right.